And what really disheartens me is that when you actually do stand up to this lunacy, and that's exactly what it is. This is just weaponized insanity in disguise as empathy. Well, every once in a while you get some people who actually have the stones to stand up to it, and of course they're called bigots. And these brave women were told that they couldn't sue the sorority for its transformer policy unless they put their names on it. So they did. Mm-hmm. Good for them.
That's why I came up with the name Istophobe Igot.
Yep.
It covers everything.
Istophobigatry.
Istophobe Igot. You can call me that now. I don't care. Yeah.
And this is happening in Wyoming. There's hardly anyone in Wyoming. I'm shocked that this insanity has actually made it to a state that's this sparsely populated.
Yep.
6 of the 7 women suing over an induction of the Transformer member to the Kappa Kappa Gamma Sorority's University of Wyoming chapter have complied with the judge's order that they cannot be anonymous in their lawsuit. So these are their names: Jalen Westenbrook, Hannah Holtmeyer, Allison Kogan, Grace Choate, Madeline Ramar, and Megan Kosar.
All right, so we got the 2 on the right are the boat anchors. The 2 on the left are full refrigerators. I think I can't see the woman on the bottom with the male hand over her shoulder. She's probably getting her head pulled down for a blowjob.
That's probably true, yeah.
And then you have the normal-looking one at the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to go to a movie, put my penis in the popcorn.
It'll be fun.
Oh, man. It's just absolutely nuts. So this is what it is here. This is what this is all about. A witness said that Langford, who is the transformer part of this situation, claims that when another person disagrees with him, it is because he is transgender, according to the lawsuit. Another has on at least 5 occasions entered the sorority house to find Langford sitting alone in a chair in the living room, staring at women as they walk past. She and other sorority members have noticed an erection visible through Langford's leggings during these instances. Yeah, I'm totally not a pervert, just infiltrating this ideology for my own nefarious purposes. That never happens unless you're Catholic.
Yes.
You ever notice that? See, like, the leftoids have been saying that the church needs to accept responsibility for a bunch of perverts who used the priesthood as a cloak for their own perversion. But yet, this never happens. Yeah, we're not allowed to judge the whole group on the actions of a few unless you're part of a group we don't like. Then it's totally fine.
Well, I'm just going to tell you right now that I don't even know how the legal system can deal with this because he's clearly out of his fucking mind.
Yeah.
And he's not arguing in reality.
No.
You know, and he's upset because they don't want to deal with him because he's transsexual, walking around with a fucking heart on.
Yeah. Oh, well, if you disagree with me, then you're just a bigot.
Well, that's why we are where we are, because there's a lot of people out there who go quiet because they don't want to be compared to a bigot.
It's so stupid.
It's controlling language to use your own emotions and cognition to become the chains that enslave you to their ideals.
They want to shame you into silence so they can pretend there's a consensus that falls on their side.
Correct.
That's why, and when you don't shut up, they censor you. That's what we've seen.
Yep, when you see it every day here at this channel.
Yep, and every single civilization that's employed censorship has totally survived.
Yeah. Now let's get 100% real here.
We're always 100% real.
During World War II and World War I and some of the other conflicts, there was always, during the war, they've historically always done some censorship. You know, am I upset about that? To an extent, and then I understand the other half because you're in a fucking war.
Yeah,
that's just the way it is. Other than that, I mean, that's how civilization grows. Is you have people with ideas and people with counter ideas. They talk, they figure out which one's right, and they take that course of action. But no, today and age, they say, well, there's 150 different genders, but you can't argue with it because you're a white man and you're a bigot. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, it's not even, it doesn't have any kind of semblance in nature at all.
No. And the same people who say that you can't misgender me, that's a form of violence, blah, blah, blah. They're the first ones who, as soon as you disagree with them, will point in your face and say, well, the only reason you don't agree with me is because you're a cisgender white male, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, you're putting a label on me. You don't know whether or not it's accurate. You could have just misgendered me. How do you know?
Yeah.
I could be Delaware's first lesbian woman of color to serve in the state legislature.
And what the hell is a cis? Why don't they say hetero?
I don't. It's so stupid.
Heterosexual. He's
Cis het. It's cis het.
Go fuck off. This whole thing is just making me just upset.
Oh, it gets even worse because once you bring politicians into an argument like this, as Buttigieg has been part of it here, apparently he went on the Daily Show and said that, well, I can't fix roads and bridges because Republicans are trying to protect women's sports. Because one totally has something to do with the...
Well, we already know that dude's an idiot.
Well, yeah. You want to talk about a diversity hierarchy?
All right, now hang on. He wants to work on roads and what else?
Let's see. He says, tells the Daily Show, House Republicans' bill restricting transgender participation in women's sports is really getting in the way of our ability to repair bridges and roads. We're literally building bridges, and they're literally banning books. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Buttigieg. Is this not your voting base? The J.K. Rowling book burnings?
And all she did was tell the psycho left there are men and women. And
that's it. That's all she
gay
did.
And asexual.
She believes in basic biology.
It is the truth. It is the reality on the ground.
Yep.
And literally you have a whole cult attacking her. And they're failing monumentally, I might add.
Yeah, but it's the right that's banning books and preventing you from doing your job that has nothing to do with the books.
Oh, listen. Okay.
So pathetic.
All right. Now, they're talking about banning books.
Yeah.
It's basically pornographic sex education books.
Yes.
That quite
that have
literally
no place in,
they have
in
no
school.
place in your classroom at all.
An 11-year-old kid shouldn't be writing a book report about gay oral sex.
All right. When I was in middle school, 8th grade, and also 9th grade, do you understand all of the bureaucratic loops I had to jump through to get Joy of Sex 1 and 2 in the library so I could read it? I had to write a paragraph, give it to the librarian, and then she called me back and looked me in the face, and I'm like, yeah, I'm interested in how that shit works, you know? I'm not a big guy. I'm not really that good looking, so when I get a chance to get at that equipment, I'm going to be 110%. And she's like, oh, you're so sweet. And literally, I got the books. I couldn't take them out of the library, but I could read them in there. She literally got them from another library on loan. So,
Yeah.
But that's what it took back then. And this was in the 80s. This wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah. Now they want the porn in schools.
Yeah. And they want the strip club in the school along with the porn. I mean,
exactly.
They are totally grooming your children. And there's so many people out there who are like not taking action or not believing it in 20 fucking years when their child has gone through this fucking nightmare and their life is just trashed and miserable. I hope you feel bad because you fucking did it to them.
Yep.
You were the goddamn adult. You could have stood up and said, no fucking way, I'm not doing that. But they won't.
There you go.
It's just like the lobotomy, man.
Yep. Instead, what they want you to do is, you can't get Adventures of Huckleberry Finn or To Kill a Mockingbird from a Minnesota school district because it made students uncomfortable. You can't, let's say they're denouncing classic children's literature like Little House on the Prairie and Mary Poppins as racists. But they're accusing conservatives of banning books because, they sent home a 12-year-old kid to do a 10-page, paper on felching or some shit.
What they're
like,
saying
come
about
on.
these stories that are upsetting students, you want to know why these students are getting upset? It's because they've been habitually, they have helicopter parents. Anytime there's any adversity, that everyone swoops in to help you. There's no winners. There's no losers. There isn't even any fucking bullies.
Yep.
And by the time these kids get to 18, they don't know how the real world works.
No. And they've been taught what to think and not how to think.
Yes. And they're going to get creamed.
That's why they have no critical thinking skills whatsoever.
Nope, I know.
All they've been told are buzzwords about how to, destroy the righties. Like, oh well, if you don't, just if calling them a bigot doesn't work, well then just tell them that their arguments are a straw man.
Yeah.
And then turn around and argue from authority, which most of the time is just another version of a straw man.
Well, yeah. Well, they try to argue from a position of authority with an emotional argument.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I'm sorry. I'm not stepping into that arena. I'm a logical man, and I don't get emotional that often. And if I do have to get emotion, usually I'm behind a belt-fed instrument, throwing down terminal velocity lead into enemy combatants in a field of war.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't. I remain calm, and I argue logically. Or I shut my fucking mouth and I leave when I realize these guys are idiots. They want to argue emotion, not fact. I have no business here.
No. It's quite ridiculous. So we have to listen to, Pete Buttigieg or Pootie Judge, whatever the fuck you want to call him.
I hate that
talking
guy.
all kinds of crazy shit. And then, of course, in addition to the books, you also have the statues. Mm-hmm. And right here on the Hill, you've got a list of statues that were toppled, vandalized, or officially removed amid protests. And it's a long list.
All right. Now, why this is happening is a lot of the youth of today were not taught history.
No.
They if you go through history and you're honest about it, you talk about both sides or what happened here, what happened there, you understand why we have all of these statues. Because, listen, a lot of the people who get a statue, dedicated to them, did something way above and beyond for the human race.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been good. It could have been bad. Like, let's say the Civil War generals that they tore down, and they're all upset at. Okay, well, if you go back to the Civil War, the southern states, they had no industry, they had agriculture. They had slaves, and the people in the North didn't like the slaves, and there was basically an argument about state rights. Kicked off the whole goddamn Civil War.
Yep.
Hundreds of thousands of people got killed.
Yeah. Admittedly, Abe Lincoln was an authoritarian
dick.
Yes. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. But he was a president during an active Civil War.
Well, which kicked off largely because of his behavior, but
yeah, and
it
you
is
know
what it is.
I mean, karma got him. He was a fucking asshole.
Yep.
Karma came in through the curtain behind his head and put him down for the dirt nap.
Yep. That's one of the reasons why I had no interest really in watching Spielberg's version, Lincoln, because I knew from watching the trailers that it was the shined up, history piece that we've all been fed about him being the great emancipator and all that shit, when really what he did was he freed slaves so that he could have more meat for the grinder.
Well,
that was a big chunk of it.
No, he emancipated the slaves to take a workforce away from the South.
Well, that too, and he thought that they would fight for the North, who at that point in time were losing the war. It wasn't until Gettysburg that things turned around.
Yeah, you're right, and I'll tell you this right now. Caucasian Christians are the only race and religion who fought a major fucking war to stop slavery in all of human history.
Yep.
You can go all the way back to the BC days. Slavery wasn't a racial thing. It was a convenience thing.
Yep.
They invade because, listen, we're evil hairless monkeys. We conquer. We do evil shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the enemy combatants back then, we'll sell them as slaves.
Yep.
That's the way it worked. It didn't matter what color you were.
Mm-hmm.
You're just convenient to be sold into slavery.
Yeah. But even though all of that's true, you still need to feel bad about it because of the color of your skin. Never
Correct.
mind the fact that the first American slave owner was a black man named Anthony Johnson.
Uh-huh.
Never mind the fact that over 3,000 freed slaves owned slaves.
Here's another thing.
Are they going to pay reparations? Are the ancestors of those black slave owners going to pay reparations in California, even though that state never saw slavery? One of the stupidest fucking things I've ever heard in my life.
Here is a basic scientific fact. In the 1700s and most of the 1800s, if you're a white dude and you go to Africa, you had an 87% chance of dying inside of 36 months from the crazy goddamn diseases down there. All right. So there wasn't roving bands of white guys hitting people over the head with a sock full of nickels and then chaining them up and taking them to the boat. No.
They were sold into slavery by their own people.
Well, yeah. Okay. Let's say there's two different peoples in the area. They have a small skirmish or a war. Yeah. Prisoners are taking. The winning side chains them all up, takes them to the coast, sells them into slavery. That happened all the time.
Yep.
And it wasn't until we came up with quinine and insect nets and other things that allow us to go into the actual, Africa proper without dying from a disease did we actually start doing anything there. And the Caucasians, and I'm just going to listen, the Caucasians in Africa who did the worst shit were the Germans.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those guys were savages.
They usually are. I mean, we got 2 world wars under our belt as a planet, and both of them were started by Germans.
Oh yeah, I mean the Germans killed so many people needlessly, worked them to death. I mean, it was fucked up.
I mean, yeah, we went kind of off in the weeds in regards to a lot of this stuff, but I mean, what else do you expect? We're trying to talk about Pete Buttigieg, who for some reason thinks that men competing in women's sports in some way affects him failing monumentally at his job as the transport secretary. Oh, by the way, one more train derailment today in Wisconsin. A bunch of cars went into the Mississippi River, and they have no idea what they were hauling yet. Totally not weaponizing the railroad system against the citizenry. No, never.
Well, the thing with the railroad system is this. It's been owned by the government since 1917.
Correct.
And they have not upgraded or put the tax dollars in to build it up.
Well, no, they're too busy voting to give themselves raises.
Yeah, you're right. Our rail system is basically a bunch of metal pencils and rubber bands being held together with duct tape.
It's a bunch of shit. It's exactly what it is. So all I have to say, and I like this here, I agree with this article 1,000% when it comes to like these brave young women who are actually willing to put their names on the lawsuit and stand up to this leftist lunacy.
Yep.
LTKA, leave the kids alone. That shouldn't even have to be an acronym. This is going back to like Pink Floyd The Wall.
Yeah.
Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone.
Yeah, my grandmother hated that song.
Stop pretending like any of this was a problem before the alphabet mafia brought children into it. Correct. No one gave a shit about your drag shows. No one gave a shit whether or not you decided to mutilate your own body to create a phallus. No one cared until you insisted on involving children.
Yeah.
It's all horse shit. And the gaslighting and the straw man arguments and all this other horse shit that keeps getting thrown out there by the leftoids in regards to how the right is reacting to it, don't pay attention to it. It's just designed to make you feel ashamed for standing up for what's right.
Yep.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the meat caser box.